In my last video, I was talking about how I don't think things are likely to break down for some years to come, probably not until the end of this decade. And what I'd like to talk about now is what you can do to protect yourself if and when things do break down. And the basic rule is that whatever problems you have now, existing problems are likely to get worse, to become more intense. So what should you do? Well, I'll start with what not to do. Don't just fritter away your money. The idea that, well, cash is going to become worthless, so I might as well spend it now, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. Cash may become worthless. It may become more valuable as goods become more scarce. My guess is what will happen is gradually over time, people will trade in their cash for other forms of currency like gold notes or notes representing precious metals, the way money always used to be. If you're rich, then buy precious metals, invest in precious metals and land is probably what I would say. But I'm going to assume that you're like most of the rest of us, not already rich. So what should you do then? Well, limit your monthly expenses. Try to reduce those. Perhaps you'd be able to reduce those by 20% if you look at it. Reduce eating out bills. Get a push bike instead of driving. Do you need cable TV? You certainly don't need to pay for a BBC TV license. You can cancel that gym membership that you never use. And watch your bank accounts. If you think that your bank looks like it might be getting into trouble and there might be some kind of bank bail-in, take the money out, invest it somewhere else. Anticipate. Watch your money like a hawk. And following on from that, don't pack your job in. Don't think everything's going to collapse. I don't need to do well at work. The opposite is the case. Try to be a valuable asset at work. If you work on your own, try to keep your clients happy. Then following on from that, keep yourself stable. Keep yourself physically and emotionally stable. When you get a breakdown of state authority, one of the main symptoms is people coming under mental and emotional pressure. Tranquilizers, antidepressants, sleeping pills, suicides, alcohol and drug abuse. These things all go up if you see some kind of political crisis. And it's quite easy to see why, because what you get is a combination of financial insecurity, financial pressure, combined with a fear of crime, because crime goes off the leash. One sign that the first sign that society is breaking down tends to be that people no longer stop their cars at traffic lights, because at traffic light junctions, that's where carjackings occur. So this is a sign. This is what happens when the police start to retreat to the hub. They can't afford to police traffic junctions. They can't afford to police against burglaries. Crime goes up. People feel insecure. People come under emotional pressure. That's a problem. So try and stabilize your life. Work on your marriage, on your relationship with your children. You'd be glad you did. It's always a good idea. Take a bit of exercise. Exercise that doesn't cost a lot of money. Just exercise you can do from home, like running, buy yourself some weights, or take up yoga, or go cycling instead of driving. And get into the habit of sleeping well. Again, these things will make you a bit more stable and resilient. Also, physically, materially, have an emergency kit, some emergency medical kit around you, and an emergency supply of food, perhaps enough to last you for a month. You can do that just by getting some cheap tins. People are still digging up World War I tins and finding that they can eat the contents, so those tins will last. A few tins of food, perhaps a month's worth, is not actually all that many. You could, if you really want to, stockpile water. I think that's going a bit over the top, because the minimum necessary water for someone to survive is about a gallon per person per day. So what you'll do is you'll find your garage filling up with water drums. I think that's probably over the top. It would need to be a really, really serious breakdown for water to stop coming out of the tap. The next thing is, don't turn your back on society like some kind of backwards weirdo. Don't go off grid. Don't get this fantasy idea that you can grow your own food, build your own car, build your own house, and pull your own teeth. If that's the way you want to live, you're probably going to end up with the living standard of a farmyard animal. You're much better forming links and connections, going the other way, integrating with people better, with your neighbours better. If you think that if it looks like the state authority might be about to break down, introduce yourself to your neighbours, invite them around, get to know them. If things start to go bad, or if I see things starting to go bad, I am going to introduce myself to my neighbours much more and to say, we need to stick together in circumstances like this. And I'm sure they'll understand, they'll agree, they'll be grateful for that. It is worth getting on with your neighbours. You might actually find you like some of them. And nationalist people have a distinct advantage here. Nationalist people understand the need for society, the need for some kind of community with like-minded people, and so it would just come naturally to nationalist-minded people, and I think nationalist people will also understand the need for law, for rules amongst their group in their area, and that's actually the best thing you can do, better than becoming aware of crime and trying to resist crime, is to make sure your area, your neighbourhood, doesn't become crime-ridden in the first place. And the best way to do that is to institute some kind of legal code that you, neighbours, other people in your area can sign up to. So you then have a form of laws, a system of law independent of the state. So if the state breaks down and can't apply the law, you can organise, arrange a system of law like a club that you can all sign up to. I'll leave a link in the description below. I've written a very crude basic legal code. It cannibalises the existing system of law, but it's enough for you to use. You can then rent a judge, kick him in the arse to make sure he applies it, and then rent the enforcers, bailiffs and policemen. And that is a way to prevent your area becoming criminalised. It's a way to suppress and repress crime, and that's much better than responding to crime but by alertness, which is nevertheless something you can do. And that's the final thing, is to be aware of crime. Worry a little bit about crime. Perhaps if you can afford it, get an alarm, get a dog, or secure your home. Develop a nose for trouble. That is the main thing. The main thing is not so much material, it is a mental attitude that understands that society can break down. That is the problem. The big problem people have is that people cannot adjust to a society where the state no longer imposes law and represses crime. And then people just panic and they become very passive and helpless in the face of it. If you can mentally prepare yourself for it, that is a really big advantage, particularly if you can then prepare mentally with other people, in cooperation with other people around you. So for instance, learn to recognise your neighbours, look for suspicious behaviour, be alert, develop the habit of just being alert when you go in and out of your home. If there are riots in town, don't go near them, don't go into town. If there's a riot outside your home, just stay in your home and don't go near the windows. Don't open the door to strangers, or develop the habit of saying, who is it please, if someone comes to your door. Little things so that you're aware of the problem. But I say it again, even better than that, better than being aware and developing a nose for trouble, is to be able to keep your area free from trouble. And I think the best way to do that is to make sure that you have law that you can apply if the legal system, the state legal system, goes down and can no longer be enforced. I say it again, I have written a code that anyone can use. It's free, it's on my website, I'll leave the link below. It is enough to use to apply if that time comes where the state no longer imposes law. So go and have a look at that and try and keep yourself safe. Prepare yourself mentally. Thank you. Next time what I want to talk about is what you can do financially in order to prepare for breakdown, which is also quite interesting. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.